welcome to CHL Rewind. This is the third installment of this beautiful podcast we got here. My name is Dr. Vanilla. You haven't met me yet, but hi, I'm here. Hello, how are you? And this time I'm going to let the other guys introduce themselves because I am not capable of doing that. So, Kyle, take it away, young man.
Hi, I'm Kyle. I was in the first one. I was the guy nobody knew who he was.
Beautiful. Who's up next?
I'm Hammett, owner of the Red Deer Rebels.
And who's the useless one again?
I'm Dragon Slayer. I scored a goalie goal on Kyle.
All right. Well, as I said, welcome to the third episode of this. Apparently, there have been two previous. I was not here, but I'm here now. You're all welcome. Please try to keep the fapping to my voice to a minimum. I know that a lot of injuries have happened in the past when I've been on podcasts due to different things like tennis wrists and arthritis. Just try to keep it to a minimum. I know I'm good looking and I got a great voice, but let's just chill out on that. Fixed and front neck. So I got a question. We're only 2 weeks in. We're about to start the third week. Who do you guys think is making an impact so far? Who do you think was a dud? Have you guys already done that? Let's start this off, huh? What do you think? Anybody specifically, teams, people? Their style of play, maybe somebody that went for 500K that's gone out there and scored 20 points.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. Kingston came back from, I think it was 1-8 start.
Oh, started off for 1-8.
And now they've definitely done some moves to put themselves in position to win some games. Going, I believe it was 8-1 this week.
Yeah.
So quite the turnaround from week 1 to week 2.
Oh, yeah. Who's on that team? That's the team I came from. I'm on the Virginia Pats now with Tommy, and I was traded from Frontenac. There was just a lot of people didn't get along. It didn't seem to fit well right away, and that definitely affected the gameplay. We didn't have the same chemistry as a lot of other teams had. We didn't have a lot of time to develop that chemistry in the relationship beforehand either. So I think that was a huge reason why it didn't end up working out. But Zilla went and made the moves he needed to make, traded the guys like me that he wanted to trade, and he actually sent me to a great team, so I had no issue with that, and he's building a great team himself now.
Number 2 team in the rankings this week were the Islanders in the queue. Hippie Girl is the owner of that team. They went 9-0 this week. Definitely have a good squad there.
They jumped up to that right away too. They didn't waste the time.
Yeah, I mean they're on a 15-game win streak right now. That's pretty impressive.
It is very impressive.
So, Screaming Eagles right behind them. They were 8-1. They're in the number 3 spot. That'd be the Berg Boys. He also put a very good squad. Kootenay Ice at number 4. That would be Prodigy and Cred and Nick. Those guys were very good. They were going to be they were riding a 8-0 win streak until the forfeit on Thursday night, which also affected a lot of teams. 9 total forfeits on Thursday night.
Thursday was a bad night for everybody.
Right. Number 5, 67s. That's Dirty Dog's team.
Yep. He's got he put together there as well. Pretty high
right.
power.
Evidently, Full Melt gave him quite a few good pointers. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So, number 6 is the Saskatchewan Blades. After McCanadians had to step away for medical reasons, Kachuk's stepped into those shoes, and the teams rallied around him, going 7-2 in week 2.
Hashtag free and Canadians.
Canadians for Bogs.
Canadians for Bog.
Rockets at number 7 went 6-1-2. Valdor. Another.
Shout out my boy Silky. What's good, buddy? How you doing? Kiss you.
Another year that Valdor's knocking on the doors. Going 8-0-1. Silver Tips, Billy O, and Outstanding Skill They went 5-2, had 2 forfeits this week. They're in 9th, and then coming out of nowhere, didn't even have a single win in week 1. The Titans
Yeah.
come
What
out
was
of
that, right?
come into the
Came out of
10th
nowhere.
spot in
Worse
power
than
rankings. So there's your top 10 and team rankings. And I mean, there's a lot of good teams there. A lot of teams looking on the outside in. That's week 2. I mean, teams can turn it around. Few changes here, few changes there. Different line combinations can make a
Right.
difference.
A lot of these owners are still going to be figuring out, who's working best together and figuring out their chemistry. Like we said, it's only week 2. This is what, a 9-week
9
season,
weeks.
right?
9 weeks.
We got a long way to go, so
Yeah.
don't count any out yet, I would say. But yes, talking about the Titans, our buddy Silvio Chris there, geez, that must have been a rough one. He took them down 8-0. Is that right? I believe.
Chikar.
I think that, but the Titans came out of nowhere and pulled off quite a friggin' week, didn't they?
One of the things that also happened this week, Gannis gets traded from the Sanguinis to Valdor.
Of course. Silky's moves over there.
So Valdor could be even tougher now, bringing in Gannis. Sanguini's looking to spread more depth around the team, not just depending on one player. They also traded away Saskatoon and brought some different players in, giving it a different look. So, Kyle, what's going on around in the O?
Well, the Colts lost their owner. That's a pretty big blow to them.
GM.
Really?
GM.
GM, my bad. Same difference. They both don't have contracts. I get confused. But a lot of the teams that were doing like super hot, with the exception of the 60, to an extent the 67s, but the teams that were doing fantastic in the O are coming way down to earth real quick.
Yeah.
Like the Bulldogs, as much as it hurts, coming back down. But then you have like Kingston going on a tear, coming all the way back from like the bottom of the division to third. Bottom of the division, if I'm correct. The Colts are near the bottom now.
Are they?
Now that Kingston passed them. Generals are at the very bottom of the OHL East. Firebirds and Storm are the only two looking out on the outside looking in of the OHL West. Sting leading that. They're looking pretty solid for the OHL West. As much as I can say about the OHL West.
Hey, man, like we said, it's only 2 weeks in. You don't know. You
Yeah.
guys could turn around. You came out hot in week 1. You guys were putting the hurting on some people and kind of dozed off. But you never know. You might just get the spark right back like that. It takes one game to turn around the whole week. A big Monday game, Sunday game. You're all set.
Yeah.
Who's hot for forwards? We have Gostisbehere. He had 18 points, plus 12 from Kingston. We have Dubs, 47 from the Huskies. He had 17 points. He was a plus 5. And then we have Skills from the Silvertips. He had 16 points, 9 goals, a plus 11. Wolf from Valdor. He was in the 5 spot with 19 points, 9 goals, plus 15. And then to round out the top 5, we have Drew from the Knights. He had 16 points, 8 goals, a plus 11. For defense, another guy from Kingston at number 1. Knights 29. He had 9 points, a plus 9. Number 2, we had Bob the Ostrich from the Silver Tips. He had 6 points, 1 goal, plus 11. And then another Kingston guy. Kingston's got their defense going this week. Big Orca Killa. He had 4 points, plus 11. And Grimrock, also from Kingston. He had 3 points. He was a plus 11. And at the 5 spot, we had Nutty Grandpa. He had 3 points, 1 goal, plus 3. For goalies, another Kingston guy, Kurowski. Cruzy, thank you. He had 23 saves, had a 0.67 goals against with a 92 save percentage. Red Viper from the Screaming Eagles had 44 saves, a 0.97 goals against with a 91.7 save percentage. At number 3, we have Iron 76 Wolf from the Royals. He had 48 saves, 1.45 goals against, an 88.9 save percentage. At number 4, we have Chewy Stud from the 67s. He had 69 saves, 1.67 goals against, an 87.3 save percentage. And rounding out the top 5, we have War Daddy 1223 from the Titans. He had 49 saves, a 1.83 goals against with an 83.1 save percentage.
Well, that's not
So
nearly
there's your tops for this week at forward, defense, and goalie. Who do you guys think stands out the most there? I understand it's top 5, but no.
Well, if you say a .67 goals against average, you can't just ignore that. It doesn't matter what team you're playing against. If you can play a week where your goals against average is a .67, that's deserved of a number 1 spot in most people's mind. I would think that's pretty insane.
Yeah. If I may actually make a comment about the who's hot on goalies, Kingston has both of their guys in the top 10. With Great Zilla at number 9, we didn't go that far down, but I wanted to just make the comment. He's got a 2.48 and an 80.5 save percentage with 62 saves. He got the 6 starts. Cruzy had the 3. Something tells me that's going to be changing in the next week. Cruzy might get a couple more, but that's just speculation.
Yeah, it's just a lot of kind of come out of nowhere that are dominating this stuff so far. So we'll see what happens. See what happens in the further weeks. Who can put up a lot of points? Who can make a lot of saves? Who can win a lot of games?
Mm.
Well, it gets better from here. We're only 2 weeks in. It can only get better from here. It's gonna get fun.
So
go ahead.
Now on to the interesting part. What is your guys' take on the forfeits?
On the forfeit.
I saw this coming with going to a 60-team lead. There was going to be a lot of problems, a lot of growing pains, and it's really showing because nobody really has the TCs to do proper ECUs, or not even necessarily proper ECUs, but be able to ECU multiple times a week. Some of us are lucky, but most of us are not.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
think with that also it comes with the owner knowing what he has and not basically just depending on his players being there. If he knows he's going to be short, he's obviously going to go find an active TC that's going to show up on those Thursdays, or, looks at that standpoint. What I tend to do is look from Thursday and work my way backwards with the schedule. That way I know that Thursday's covered.
Right.
But it basically shows on the owners of, who's aware of what's going on with their team.
And I mean, it doesn't help that we have such a lack of defensemen as well. It feels like there's so many we could potentially have, but I mean, for all I know, there's a lot of guys that are defensemen that are playing wing, or the other way around, and we could have even less defensemen than I even think. But
Right.
there's such a lacking, uh, you know, in the defense around the league. There's teams that I'm looking at. They don't even. It seems like they don't have full defensive cores. I think we're still sitting at around like that 300, 310 mark for what we need for the 360 ish that we need for the whole league to have a proper defensive core.
Well, and you also have to remember a lot of guys are already taking bans, and we're in week 2.
Yeah.
Guys are saying, hey, I'm not on the team I want to be on. So I'm just going to ignore the owner messaging me. Or they're just like, hey, you're not giving me playing time, so I'm not even going to try working my way. I'll just take the ban and go play with my buddies. It's sad, but it's one of those where we had the defensemen, but now they're getting called up because the guys higher up are taking their bans because their team's not doing so hot after week 2.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is, but I think partly it's the league's fault for jumping the gun, but I also think if we had better organizational skills and guys actually, even if you play with your TC and a drop in to see what the dude has, maybe might even shock you,
Yeah.
But even if you have a TC goalie, you have your 2 starters, and you give your TC the Thursday game, it's still going to make him want to be active instead of just quitting because he's tired of just sitting there.
Right. You mentioned the responsibility and the role of the league in this too, and this is my first season in general on any of these leagues, so I really don't still know a lot about this, but it seems to me that, like you guys mentioned, there's a lack of TCs. They're not spread out evenly. First of all, that's a huge issue. Like I was talking to Sky recently in the shout box, and he had like 6 or 7 TCs, where I think my team has 2, 3, maybe 4. So it's definitely not spread out well. And the other thing I noticed, like I said, this is my first season. So when I came, I wanted to do some research. I watched one of the NHL podcasts just to see what it was kind of about. And it was actually on bidding night, and they were talking about turnaround time in between seasons, how it went right from the end of season 4 to season 5. So I think to better prepare themselves next season, the organization part of it, they need to take longer in between the seasons and really set things up. They need to do some more scouting and recruiting, putting things out on social media, getting more people to actually sign up for the league. Because like Brad said, or Kyle said, we're really short on defensemen right now. It's still not filled in, and we're 18 games in at this point. There was maybe a week and a half, not even 2, before the next season started. We were bidding and we're playing our first game. That seemed kind of crazy to me. For this isn't exactly a tiny community. There's a few people here. It's got a little bit of a following. So for something like that, especially if you're trying to continue to grow it, you got to be more vigilant on the social media aspect of it, promoting the site itself to get more people to sign up in the first place. And you definitely got to spend more time playing. This league is definitely falling apart a little bit so far with all the forfeits, people taking lots of bans. There wasn't enough safety net there provided by the league in case any of this stuff happened. I think they really wanted to just take a shot and see how 60 teams worked out. But I think they weren't quite ready for what's going on right now. And maybe next season what they should do is take a little bit more time in between the end of one season and the start of another to prepare themselves, their team, and the league, and the site, and everything for a more successful CHL specifically, if they want to run a full 60 teams. I don't think they were ready for that.
But at the same time, you also have to realize that they're getting 3 seasons in a year.
Right.
So you got season 3, season 4, and season 5 in 1 year. You got 9 weeks in each. That's not including, 4 or 5 rounds of playoffs.
Maybe they changed the
So
structure.
that's
Then. You know, the structure of the season itself. I don't know what suggestion to make to that, but
the thing of it is there's enough forward TCs.
Mhm.
So I don't think it's a problem with the social media or them getting it out. It's just guys that are like, hey, I want to play forward. You know, they don't want to play defense. It's just a bummer. That's why in the other episodes we were noticing how much defensemen we're going for because there's such a lack of it. You are seeing teams that prepared for that have their 6 defensemen compared to the guys that have maybe a winger playing defense or a goalie playing defense.
Right.
Than the teams that have 6 defensemen or 5. But I mean, I know on my team, I mentioned the word forfeit. I have TCs saying, TC forwards going, I'll play goalie. Because they don't want to forfeit. They want to play. Right. And it's one of those where you just suck it up and you play. I mean, it's kind of saddening.
Right.
When you see all these forfeits, and because frankly, I want to play competitive. So
yeah. I saw a thread recently as well that was talking about the forfeits and stuff, and they brought up I don't remember who, they brought up a great solution. Expand the amount of games people can play in a week, whether you're a roster player or a TC player. If you're having issues finding guys that can fill in, change that 3 maximum game allotment for a roster player to 4. So that way they don't, if they have an issue on that Thursday or something like that, you can call up one of your roster guys. You've got more options. If you've got people that can play more games, then you have more options, and I think you'll have less forfeits. So that did make a lot of sense to me, and it seems like a really, really easy solution. I don't know why the league wouldn't change anything like that, but
there's pros and cons on that. I can see them if they add more TC games. I can't see them doing more roster. I mean, the roster guys are already getting 3 games a week compared to your TCs. I can't see doing roster guys. I'm fine with moving TCs up to 3, but that's also the fact of a guy already using his 2 games. It's not allowing multiple people to ECU.
Right.
Where I can see where they're contradicting that.
I think there's with some of these TCs where a lot of them are feeling really left out. It doesn't. I mean, I'm sure there are teams out there that are really involved with their TCs and doing great things for them, but in my opinion, it seems like a vast majority of these teams out there are, picking up a TC here and there but for the most part, they're not keeping them engaged. They're not keeping them involved and active within the community and their team itself. And it makes the TC, like you said earlier, lose interest. It grows disdain between your players. It's going to hurt your chemistry if you've got guys that are just unhappy. And I understand the thing as an owner too, that you can't play everybody, but I mean involved as in, when you got the Saturday and Friday off, go set up a couple of games with your TC guys. Give them a chance to be looked at. That's all I want. I know if I was a TC, all I would want is my shot, and I'm sure that's what they want, the same thing. And I think a lot of owners need to take more advantage of that TC there and build a relationship with them a little better, and maybe they'd have less forfeit in return.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them bumping it up to 3. The other leagues as well have 3 games as the TC max for a week. So that
No,
oh,
no. There's 1 week where TCs can be, because there's one extra game in the last week of AHL and NHL. So they're allowed to play, like, there's that one extra game, so you can ECU one extra guy,
okay.
that extra game.
I
But
could
last I knew it was only 2 all the way across the board.
I mean, I could swear it was 3. I mean, I had to take over for the Griffins. And when I did, I remember it was 3, and I was told multiple times it was 3. So that's all I'm going off of. You know, it could have changed. It could be completely different. I could have also just been completely wrong, and I should have lost a lot of games to forfeits. You know, it could be any of those. I mean, not that we really needed the losses, but anyway.
The AHL team?
Yeah. Yeah, that AHL team was dead last. I think we set a record for the worst team in LG history.
What team
So
was
if you
it?
guys had to take a guess, only 2 weeks in, on what you've seen so far and to the best of your knowledge of the players, who's winning the Mem Cup this year? Who's
Islanders.
taking it?
I think it's a little too early to talk about this personally.
It's too early.
Yeah, it's too
Islanders.
early to tell. But if I had to pick a team, I honestly wouldn't say the Islanders. Because
Yeah.
as much as, you know, they're really hot right now, you don't. Well, first off, it's a very long season. Secondly, you don't know how many moves they're going to make. This is why it's way too early.
Right.
But I also feel they're going to come back down to earth pretty soon. You know,
you think so? Who's going to come up
a
on that
10-0 last 10 games, that's pretty hard to maintain. You can't have every week be a perfect week. You're not going to have one loss on the entire season. You
Right.
know,
Pretty dope.
I
How
feel
about
You're not gonna have a goalie getting a 3-shot shutout every fucking night.
exactly. I feel like it's going to be a team from the W.
me too?
It's gonna be the Medicine Hat Tigers.
Slayer pipe.
Yeah, I don't see that one.
Yeah.
No,
Is that
it's
who
gonna
you
happen.
actually think is going to win the Mem Cup, or you just being a smart ass?
I'd actually, you know what? I'm gonna choose that as my prediction. They're gonna have like a hot week 6.
You just picked a random team. All right,
They're
tell you
gonna
what,
go
It's-
like they're gonna go 9-0 in one of these weeks. I'm calling it right now.
a lot of people aren't going to agree with it because basically because they don't like Silky, but I have to say I think Valdor may repeat. I know the team they started off. I was supposed to end up on that team. I don't know. There's a whole thing, but I developed a relationship when I first came on with Silky. He helped me a lot when I first joined this league. He showed me the ropes. He was new himself, but him and some other guys really helped me a lot, and I enjoyed playing with him, and I got to know a lot of his players. And I tell you what, the core group of guys he still has, and the guys he's traded for, especially on defense, they're overpowering sometimes at some point. Like their ability to score goals, their ability to shut you down. And Virus is nasty. Like I've played many club games with that guy, and he's not very well known yet. But I tell you what, I haven't seen a lot of better goalies in the CHL yet. The kid makes a lot of plays when it's time. He's very good at making plays. And I know a lot of people thought Silky wasn't going to know what he's doing, but I'm telling you what, this group of guys he's got going right now, if they keep going down this path, I think he's got a serious shot at repeating for the Mem Cup. That's props to him. He's done a great job so far. There's a reason they're 14-2, you know.
And honestly, I'm gonna have to give it to Hammett. I think, you know, I'm not biased because he's here. I swear, but I feel like I know he's got a good group of guys there, and I have a feeling that with how the W is, it's not going to be an easy time, but he's probably gonna have a pretty good shot. And
I'll tell you what, we're not looking too hot so far, but we've made a couple changes as well, the Pats, and I think we're going to be a pretty strong team in the next coming weeks.
I mean, and I honestly I can't see it being the O. Personally,
Right, no.
You know. Up, and I guess we lost someone. Yeah. So I can either see it being. I can see maybe this. of all of the OHL teams, I feel like it's either going to be the 67s or the Battalion.
See, I think the Battalion are overrated. They came out to a really, I hate to say that, but they came out to a really hot start. And then if you look at their actual individual player stats and their team stats since then, it has not been the same story.
No.
It's been quite a downhill slide. They had a lot of games in the beginning of the season that I don't want to say are easy wins, but they definitely had it a little easier for week one than they had it this past week. I think they're in for a punch in the mouth, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like if the O's gonna have the Ottawa 67s. That's
they're definitely a solid team though. Dirty Dog's doing a good job.
I feel like they're gonna be the one out of the O. I feel like it's gonna be Red Deer out of the W, and then I feel like it's gonna be. Yeah, I'm going with Hammond. This is my way too early predictions, and I feel like it's gonna be Val d'Or. It's gonna be them coming out of the Q.
Yep.
And then I don't know who the host team's gonna be. That's the other wrench we're gonna have to deal with. Who's the host team?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
It's probably Valdor. If you look at the standings, they're not even in it. Last time I looked.
Val d'Or? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this last week? Who the host team was?
No.
Like they were gonna do like some sort of lottery in the final like 8 teams or whatever.
Well, they are in the
Could've sworn we
standings now.
But then what do you do if one of those 8 teams is in the final?
True.
You know, one of those 8 teams that they pick is in the final. Then they have to do another lottery.
Not even that.
The hell are you guys talking about right now?
In the Memorial Cup, in the actual Memorial Cup, as well as what we're going to be doing, there aren't 3 teams, there's 4. There's the winners of the W, Q, and O, and then there's the host team. As you saw in the actual CHL with the Windsor Spitfires, they were the host team and they ended up winning it all. They were an absolutely, I wouldn't say they were a good team, but they happened to beat the Erie Otters in that one game that they played for the final.
And that happens kind of like high school sectional hockey. You get an automatic bid to host the tournament no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same thing, and they get that 4th spot in the final 4. Right. So it could be anyone potentially. You know, for all we know, St. John could host it and then win the Memorial Cup somehow. Not bashing them, but you know they're kind of in last in the queue.
They are kind of.
But they could easily just get the host team, get a hot couple games, and then bam, they won the Memorial Cup.